Alright, welcome back. So this will be the beginning of part 7 to the Jumbo Shrimp Rigger build. We're almost there, closing in on the final assembly. I think I'm ready to put the lid on here shortly. But I just wanted to show that I returned the two, what was it, 3100 something receivers, the knockoffs. And I got a Spectrum SR215. It's a 2-channel basic receiver, but not cheap. It's about 40 bucks on Amazon. Probably find it a little cheaper somewhere else, but it bound up perfectly to my DX5C. So we got that now. And I just wanted to show that my rudder, my servo and rudder arrangement, it worked out good, but you can see here servo's still wobbling around a little bit, so I'm either going to run another zip tie around this section here or put some epoxy underneath, maybe both, to try to secure it down. Maybe not epoxy, maybe shoe goo or something that's removable in case I have to take it out later or swap servos. But I'll show you the driveline here. That's just bumping the throttle. But it sounds good. Like I said, it's a little rattly, but I think it's because it's in this wood frame. But yeah, I got the foam added. I'll show you here because you're not going to be able to see this foam once it's closed up, unless I guess I angle it down. And I kind of moved one of the wires over to the other side, so that might make it easier to wedge that battery in there, because this is going to be a tight fit. So yeah, just coming along. Lids going on next, and then rear ski construction, or yeah, rear ski. All right, so now we got the lid on. Receivers installed. Got it down there. Servos locked down. Got the shoe goo and a zip tie in there, and it's not moving at all now, so that's good. When I put the lid on, I did find out that I have a little gap right there. So I'm going to use the stick and fill that along and scrape the excess off. You know, the more you scrape off, the less you got to sand later, which you can kind of see it gooped up there, but that's fine. The lid went on good. I used tape and some tiles to weigh it down so I could get the best joint as possible. And it kind of bowed up at the end here. I didn't have anything to sit on that edge, on that curved surface, so just went ahead and took another piece of scrap, filled that in, filled the gaps with the epoxy. And this is actually my second layer of epoxy on that. I went along the outside because to join it first, you just put a little bit to make it stick on there. But with this raised lid, it kind of changes. It makes it kind of a weak joint in my opinion, because the lid is sitting on top of the wood instead of down into the channels like it normally would be in these outside channels. So I might have to reinforce that with some fiberglass later on. Fiberglass doesn't like to bend around curves, so that's going to be kind of tricky. I might just lay some thin strips on the side. But when I first had it cured, I was trying to fit the battery in there because that's my main concern, and I barely got it to squeeze in there. But there was some snap, crackle, popping going on here, and it was just the joints on the outside there. So that's why I'm double reinforcing it now. And I had to go, like I said, I had to fill in this front gap anyway, but it's coming along good. Okay, and just after that last cut there, I took a stick, cut in half, and kind of scraped it along the edges there and scraped off all the excess, as much excess as I could. I took off quite a bit of that goop. I wanted to leave some of it though, so it seeps into those into the seams and the cracks there. Alright, so we got our rear ski pieces cut out finally and sanded down. This one has a little bit of a curve to it, but the wood should bend to the curves okay. And this piece here, I got it as straight as I can get it without going too narrow. So that will be going on soon. And on the fuselage, I went ahead and filed down the filled in nose piece and the piece of fiberglass I used, I rolled it down pretty much to about there. So there's a little bit bare spot there with no fiberglass, but it's epoxied up enough. It should hold up in a crash if something bad happens, but it turned out pretty good. It's kind of got like a bull nose, like a little ridge to it, but I'm happy with that. You kind of see how the fiberglass laid there. I was going to put another coat of fiberglass on there to cover up the mat, but I think I'm just going to leave it like that. And went along the sides, just kind of lightly sanded, cleaned up the edges there. Got my lids covered in fiberglass, and probably used a little too much epoxy on there, but cleaning up the corners is the trickiest part, and getting the lids to fit again. But yeah, it's looking good. Everything fits. And oh, one thing I almost forgot to do, I put some silicone around the cooling tube there. It still feels tacky. And for tuning here, I kind of eyeballed the strut and locked it down to what I thought was neutral. So this countertop, I want to say it's not, I mean, glass is the best, but I set that to 0, right? And you can kind of see with that attitude, or with that strut position, it's riding right on the back of the sponsons. I mean, down in the water, you know, it's probably going to be from here to the edge of the sponson, you know, a little bit weight holding it down in the water. So that may need to change. And I just wanted to, okay, how can I measure this? I measured the top of the strut, 0. Looking at the bottom here, I don't see any light underneath on the bottom of the strut, you know, if it's pointed up or down. And I'd say that's neutral. It looks neutral to the strut there. I'm also kind of thinking, okay, how can I reference this to the back of the boat or the rest of the boat, which would be level? You know, like this surface here, the strut mount. But I'm thinking the top of the strut should be a representation of where the bottom of the strut is, angle-wise. Measuring with the pitch gauge. Could be wrong, let me know. Alright, so making progress on the shrimp rigger here. I had to get some CA glue or super glue. Use this Gorilla Glue to put the ski pieces together, because clamping and holding that is pretty much impossible. So it was easier to just use the glue, hold it for, you know, 30 seconds or so, and it's a nice strong joint. I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprised how strong that Gorilla Glue is. And I used it to fasten it to the hull as well. I just kind of held it down in both places, but still a little bit of a ridge there, even with my filed down channel there. So I mixed up some graphite and epoxy. I actually got this for the Popeye originally because I noticed the hull on that. The left sponson has a 1.5 degree in angle. It's not completely flat, but that found out later that's intentional. They're supposed to be that way. So I'm probably going to leave that alone. But I am thinking about blueprinting it, or just adding a layer of graphite and roughing it up to help it go a little faster. But, you know, get the sponsons done there. That may be sloppy. I tried to put it on there thick. This you can kind of see how much is on there compared to the rest of the sponson. I'm going to file it down, you know, of course, but I wanted to have a nice thick layer on there so I have something to work with and I can put a nice rough pattern in there. because it's, you know, I probably put too much on there anyway. It's probably going to be riding on, you know, that just that back portion of the sponson. But yeah, it's gonna be ready for the water soon. So I think I'm gonna call this the end of part 7. The lid's done, the top's done. Yeah, I think everything's pretty much done. I got everything waterproofed, so she'll be ready to hit the water soon. Next video after this should be the maiden. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped you guys in your builds, and see you soon.